Welcome to part 13 of my build of the quarter-scaled Jerry Bates Cessna 172 Skyhawk. This video is a slideshow with a voiceover of some pictures I took while building it. Day 73. The new pilot from Premier Pilots came and tried the pilot's cabin on for size. He seems to fit just fine. Then he found reason to complain how I carved a cove into the wing root rib. From the wing root rib to the top of the cockpit there's a fairing that curls into a semicircle. I made this by gluing together two layers of 0.6mm plywood and then wrapping them around a steel rod. When the glue had hardened, the plywood kept its shape and I glued it on the root rib and onto the cockpit roof. I finally got some new epoxy resin from Fighter Races in England and could finish putting glass fiber on the wings. Here I put some on top of the ailerons and some in the aileron bays. I can start priming and sanding the wings before long. Day 74. Glass fiber on the fairing from wing to cockpit roof. The lower surface of the ailerons has now been glassed. Next I will sand them a little and then glue the corrugations on. The wings have now been primed. I like to have the primer cure for a few days before sanding it off. And since I was waving the primer about, I decided to put some on the elevators. These are now ready for paint. Day 75. And so the time has come to glue the tailplane onto the back of the fuselage. Here you can see the three tools I use while preparing for it: a level, a piece of string, and a laser level. I leveled the fuselage with the level, measured with the string from a center point in the front to the tail to get it perpendicular to the long axis of the fuse, and then I used my son's laser level to get the tailplane level. To glue the horizontal stabilizer, I mixed epoxy glue and some micro balloons so the glue would not just run away. This mixture I put into a syringe, put a length of heat shrink tubing on the syringe so I could insert it between the fuse and the stab, and squirted the glue where needed. A quick wipe with a tissue wetted in alcohol, called red spirit here in Iceland, and all the extra glue is removed. This is very nice looking and probably will not need a lot of sanding. Day 76. The horizontal stabilizer has now hardened, and so I was able to glue on the vertical stab. The laser level is indispensable in a job like this, and it not only shows you the horizontal but also the vertical. I was able to glue the fin on according to the line the laser showed me. There is a dorsal fin in front of the vertical stabilizer. This I glued on and it gives the plane a really cool look. Day 77. The transition from the dorsal fin to the vertical stab is very smooth, and because this is rather deep, the best filler is Isopon P38, a European equivalent of Bondo. This is good because it hardens fairly quickly. It is not necessary to sand the P38 absolutely smooth because I just put red putty in the dings and then sand that tomorrow. The exit housings for the rudder wires are made from 1.5mm plywood. These are glued onto the fuselage and I smeared them with red putty to make them smooth. I'm not sure I can be bothered to put glass fiber on them as they are very, very small. While I was gluing the housing on, a neighbour in the workshop snapped a photo of me. Now you can see what I look like. I figure I will have to get a new workshop coat fairly soon. Day 78. More plate joints. Here the dorsal spine and the vertical fin come together and form quite a complicated joint. This is mostly because there's a formed aluminium or fiberglass joint in the middle. This will all have to be made using filler. Notice that I made a round inspection hatch from aluminium tape and glued it in front of the horizontal stab. The horizontal stab has a great big ridge or joint going the whole length of it. And here it can be seen after the tape has been removed. I used bits of aluminium tape to make up the handles on the doors. On the front of the dorsal spine there's a nose formed from aluminium and riveted to the back of the fuselage. I formed this with tape and filler.